The release of 2 American hikers from an Iranian jail has hit a snag. Iranian judges say they are still reviewing a $1 million bail plan that would release Shane Bauer and Josh Fatal. The judges stepped in after Iran's president said he believed the hikers would be released in a matter of days. Meanwhile, American officials remain hopeful Bauer and Fatal will be set free after spending more than 2 years in custody. And for more this morning, we are joined by CBS News foreign affairs analyst Pamela Falk. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, Betty.
All right, this back and forth, a lot of people very hopeful that they are released, but we're hearing a lot of different things. It's very similar to what we heard when the 3rd hiker, Sarah Shurd, was released. So is this a good sign?
It's a sign that there's a division between the judiciary and the president in Iran. Ahmadinejad is who announced the release, and then the judiciary said they would not go for it yet, or at least they were considering it. And so what you're seeing is a division between 3-way, really. It's the judiciary, it's the parliament, and the president. And what the judiciary doesn't want to see is the president making that decision. But you're seeing a lot of other, and that's really what it's reflecting. Ahmadinejad wants to come to New York, which he will do at the UN, and be able to not have this dog his trip, which it did last year.
So do you think the timing here is suspect then? Then Ahmadinejad has his own agenda and he wants to come to the U.S. with this information, and therefore that's why we're seeing the back and forth?
Absolutely. This is a goodwill gesture, and they're trying this goodwill gesture on their nuclear program as well, which the International Atomic Energy Agency, usually pretty conservative, says they're very concerned about Iran's move toward more nuclear energy, which may be used for nuclear weapons in the end. And so everyone's worried about what's going on in Iran. And you heard the Ayatollah, who's really the only power in Iran, say last month that he doesn't want this acrimony that he saw 2 years ago in Iran. And so they're looking around the neighborhood. They're seeing the Arab Spring, a lot of the despots falling, and saying, how are we going to hold on to this? But anytime you hear this kind of a division in public, it means they're fighting. And obviously they're reading from different pages, and there's a power struggle going on.
I want to shift gears now because there are a lot of big issues on the agenda at the UN General Assembly next week. One is a request by the Palestinian Authority to be recognized by the UN. Now, Israel and the U.S. are opposed to that. Tell us why that is, and what do you expect is going to happen of this?
Well, to get statehood, which is what the Palestinians are trying to get, a membership in the UN, they'd have to go to the Security Council by the rules of the UN. That would not pass because the United States has already said, and the Obama administration said it would veto it, and they have veto power there. What they may do, and what it sounds like they may do, is take it directly to the General Assembly. Now, we heard from the new General Assembly president today, who's from Qatar, that they've never seen what they're proposing, the resolution. It would have to be negotiated, and it may very well not take place when all the heads of state are here. But what they're looking to do is change their status from observer entity to observer state. And they seem to be moving full steam ahead. Now, on the other hand, the U.S., the European Union, Great Britain, Israel are all trying to very last-minute negotiations to get this off the agenda so that they can get peace talks back on. And Israel sees it as a great threat, as a unilateral move that is trying to isolate Israel. And that's the biggest problem. It's not a good time in the world, and the entire world is volatile. You saw this same Iranian parliament, by the way, talk about supporting the attack in Egypt of the Israeli embassy. So there are a lot of factors going into this, but that does look like it's going to be the main issue at the UN General Assembly.
Well, there's yet another one, too, though, and that being Libya's UN delegation, because there is some opposition to giving that seat to the rebels. What's going to happen with that?
Well, the UN General Assembly president has announced that they have been recognized, so that the transitional national government has been recognized, and they will be giving that seat to them. Now, there was this meeting in Paris in which basically the international community came together to try to get a lot of money to bring the rebels, to unfreeze the assets that were taken of Muammar Gaddafi, who of course will not be coming this year to the General Assembly, and that's moving forward. So you'll hear from that. You'll also see a Security Council meeting on conflict resolution because Lebanon is now the president of the Security Council. You'll see a big meeting on Somalia because the famine is only getting worse, and you'll see a nuclear issue and counterterrorism. So there are more heads of state coming this year and heads of government than last year and any year before. So it does promise to be a very high-level meeting and interesting. I mean, you'll see Mahmoud Abbas, you'll see Hugo Chavez is coming. Who's not coming are the Castro brothers or Gaddafi, but it does promise to be a very interesting meeting because there's so many issues on the agenda.
There's a ton of issues on the table, a lot to be resolved, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what comes out of that meeting. Pamela Falk, we do appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
Sure.